Okay, Harivansh. Okay, welcome everyone. So this is our very first meeting of Shri Harivansh Kripa. So the grace of Shriman Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji. So thanks all for coming. Um, we're we're gonna do basically today. The idea is to discuss one Vani of one writing, one work of Shri Hit Dhruv dasji Maharaj. It's called Shringar Sabha Mandal. So we're going to go into what that actually is and so on. And so I'll just be reciting some of the verses, explaining as to my own understanding and also the translation I have. And then we can also have a question and answer session at the end about what we've heard, but also any questions that come to mind, we can also do that as well. So, first of all, in every single Vani of the Rasik Mahajan, whichever sampradaya it is, it's very important to do smaran, remembrance of the Kripa of one's Gurudev, but also of the Acharya, the Rasik Acharya, the root Acharya of the Sampradaya. So for us, for this Vani, and for us, me particularly, and for many of you also, this is Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji. And so you'll always see in the Vanis, they always say that without Shri Harivansh's Kripa, this Ras is not going to enter the heart. And especially when it comes to the Nitya Vihar Vanis. So everyone out of the three sampradayas. So for us, we always take shelter continuously of Harivanshji, and then the Haridasis take shelter of Swami Haridas, and the Nimbarkis, they always take shelter of Shri Nimbarkacharya and Shri Bhattadev and Shri Harivyas Devacharya, who are very important figures in the revelation of Nitya Vihar in this world. So it's actually something we should also do whenever we do some smaran. So whenever I've done any, especially if it's like longer smaran, and even short also, before we start doing Nam Jap, it's very important to remember Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhu. So we'll just recite a few verses together. I think everyone can see my screen. Can you see this?
No.
No, okay, I think I have to press the share button. 1 second. Yep, here we are. Now you can see?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So this is a very common prayer to Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji. Namo Namo Jai Shri Harivansh Namo Namo Jai Shri Harivansh Rasik Ananya Venukula Mandana Rasik Ananya Venukula Mandana Leela Manasarovar Hansa Leela Manasarovar Hansa Namo Namo Jai Shri Harivansh Namo Namo Jai Shri Harivansh Namo Jayati Shri Vrindavan Sej Madhuri Rasa Vilas Prashans Agam Nigam Agochar Radhe Charan Saroj Vyas Avatansa Namo Namo Jai Shri Harivansh Namo Namo Jai
Jai
Shri
Shri Hari.
Harivansh. Just a few verses of invocation to Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji. Shri Premi Rasika Ananyanapati Chintamani Ishan Ke Isha Maharaja Chhatrapati Mahamadura Premananda Rasa Swadi Rasilo Shri Tara Sutta Shri Rukmanipati सकल अवतारन को अवतारी महामंगल परमानंद निधि श्री हरिवंश चंद्र निर्मल अकलंक अखंड नित्य मंजुल अनूप अद्भुत अलौकिक परम स्वादी परम रसीलो हसीलो सर्वोपरि विराजमान श्री हरिवंशी श्रीवंशी सखी सुखदाई मन बाई परम रसीलो हसीलो श्री प्यारी की अति प्यारी चिन एक होत न न्यारी पहरे गल चूमक सारी जाके पद पंकज बंदत कुंज बिहारी ऐसे श्री व्यासनंदनो जयति ऐसे श्री व्यासनंदनो जयति ऐसे श्री व्यासनंदनो जयति श्री वृंदावन चंद्र निकुंज विलासी परम स्वादी परम रसीले नित्य किशोर अलकल रे लरबाबरे छैल छबीले श्री सुरतानंद श्री रसिकानंद रूप नवीले रंगीले चिकनय मन मोहने रूप नवीले रंगीले चिकनय मन मोहने ऐसे श्री राधा वल्लभो जयति ऐसे श्री राधा वल्लभो जयति ऐसे श्री राधा वल्लभो जयति So, I'm just going to talk a little bit about Shri Dhruv dasji Maharaj. It's also very important to know the author of any Vani, any work. One of the statements in the Shastra says that if you want to know the Shastra, if you want to know the Vani, you should know the author, because then you understand what is the heart of that person. Because if you don't know their life, if you don't know their mood, then it's very easy to misinterpret what are they actually conveying, what are they actually trying to say. I'm just going to make sure this is off. Okay. So, first of all, just a few details about Shri Dhruv dasji. He was actually born, and he originally lived in the village where Shri Harivansh spent most of his earlier life in Devband. So Shri Harivansh was actually born in Badagram, which is a part of Braj, when his mom and his dad, Shri Vyas Mishra and Taraji, they were traveling. And so he took birth there, but it was about 30 to 32 years of his life in Devband. And this is where Shri Dhruv dasji Maharaj was also born. And he was the grandson of a very close associate of Shri Harivansh as well. So he's the grandson of Nehrimalji, who was a very close disciple, associate of Shri Harivansh himself. And very early on, Dhruv dasji Maharaj came to Vrindavan, and he never left Vrindavan. So he did continuous vas, akhanda vas. So he never continuous residence. He stayed there until he left this world, until he entered the Nikunj. Even during his time, he was actually already known to be a Rasik Siddh Mahatma. And everyone knew that he was experiencing the Leela within his heart. So he had the symptoms of always being in Prem Ras Samadhi, also different Sattvic Bhavs. So these are Sattvic Bhavs are physical manifestations on the body, such as crying incessantly, like a river of tears, the body shaking, color changing, vivarna, different things like this. So different manifestations of prem, which are described in the Shastra, these were always manifesting within Shri Dhruv dasji Maharaj. But he had one dissatisfaction. So even though he was tasting so much prem, there was something that was still very dissatisfying in his life. And that was that even though he could taste the prem, experience the Leela, and so on, he could not write it. Oh, very nice, Radha Vallabh Darshan. So he couldn't manifest it into Vani Roop. So what happened is that Shri Dhruv dasji Maharaj, he decided to take shelter at Ras Mandal. So I'm sure many of you have been to Ras Mandal. I know Priyansji probably lives there. He's someone's coming
I've
back.
never been to Ras Mandal. I've never been to Seva Kunj. I've never been to any, not even Vansi, but not Bhadram. I've never been to any place. I'm just living in Vrindavan. That's it.
No problem. I take you when I come back. Yeah, I take you there.
I've been to only Keli Kunj
Yeah,
and Sharnam.
and Radha
That's it. Some obvious places.
There, I take you. We can go together. Huh? Nice. We can have a great time there.
Definitely.
So, and then we can remember Dhruv dasji Maharaj there. So, Dhruv dasji Maharaj, he decided that somehow I need to be able to glorify Priyaji's glories, Priyaji ka yash, and therefore he went to Rasamandal. And this is in a very classic way, when someone is given up all power in themselves. Many times Sri Sevakji Maharaj and so many other Sant from different traditions, they give up eating, drinking, and they just like, okay, if it's not going to happen, then I will just give up my life. So in this very classic bhav of a Sant, he went to Ras Mandal, and which was established by Shri Harivansh, this Ras Mandal where he used to have nice Ras Leela plays going on during his lifetime. So he went there and he was praying very earnestly for Vani to manifest. And so he had his eyes closed, fully absorbed in crying for this mercy and this grace. And then all of a sudden, Priyaji kicked him on the head with a Charan Kamal. So she kicked him on the head, and then he came back into external consciousness. Like, oh, Priyaji's come here. But not only Priyaji, the Vani describes that Lalji came, Shri Krishna, and also Hitsaki with many different Sahajari Vrind. So not just Priyaji by herself. And so she asked him, what is it you want? Why have you been calling me so desperately in this way? So he explained very in few words, and Priyaji knew his heart already. I mean, Sakhi's heart, if Priyaji doesn't know, then who knows? Then who knows the heart, And Sakhi also knows the heart of Priyaji, so Dhruv dasji also knows that I want to sing her glories, and she would like me to sing the glories also. So then she gave the Kripa that now you will be able to recite Vani. So actually this Vani is not like we shouldn't take it to be like just the creation of someone who is uninspired, like, you know, just a poet, or just someone who is learned in poetry and alliteration and all these different poetic devices. But this is like directly inspired by someone who already had prem, and then they got extra kripa to manifest the Vani. And this is, it's one of the, it's they're actually one of the Goswamis, Mohitji told me, Mohit Maralji, he told me that this Vani, this is his bhav. He said this Vani is the favorite of Radha Vallabh. And he said why? He explained why. He said because if you look at the whole the festival calendar, and you see the whole the utsavs, the festivals that take place in Radha Vallabhji, Bayalis Leela is sung the longest and the most. If you compare all the different Vanis that are sung there, this is sung for the longest period of time there. So by this reasoning, then this shows that this is the favorite Vani of Priyaji, of Radha Vallabh. So like this. A few other things I was just going to mention as well. She had the guru, so the actual guru of Dhruv dasji Maharaj, he mentions him a few times, but mainly he's always taking shelter of his acharya, which is Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji. And even though he actually got Diksha, oh, what's this? Dhruv das jo vishwas hai tabi sudre baat. You explain, Priyansh
Maharaj ji keeps on repeating it, right? कि हित ध्रुव जो विश्वास है तभी ही सुधरे बात, ना तरु माया पंत में फिरे जो टक्कर खात.
Explain in English a little bit.
I have no idea how to explain it in English. Yeah.
Okay, but
I
once there is great faith, once great dependency only on Shama Sham, only on Shri Harivansh, only on, you know, a divine personalities like this, then everything will become, the knots will be loosened, Sudrebat, where everything will become very easy and flowing and smooth. That's probably the best way I can translate it right now. So he had very great faith in Shri Harivansh, and also his guru is the third son of Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji himself. So Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhu had 4 sons. This is Shri Vanchandra Mahaprabhuji, who became the Acharya of the Sampradaya after Shri Harivansh left this world. And then there's Shri Krishna Chandra Goswami, his second son. And then Shri Gopinath Ji Goswami. He was the guru of Dhruv dasji officially. And then also Shri Mohan Chandji. So these are his 4 sons. And then he also had daughters, that's Saiba there. And also in some texts, it also mentions he had a second daughter called Rahiba there. So there's also information and biographies on all of these as well. Okay, so this Vani is actually written quite a long time ago. I was looking at the dates. It's actually written 398 years ago. So this particular Vani of this Shringar Sabha Mandal, he didn't write all these Vanis at the same time. So he also wrote different ones at different times. But this one was written literally 398 years ago. So in 2 years' time, we can celebrate the 400th birthday of Shringar Sabha Mandal. So, okay, so someone's asking, I think this is Amanda, saying, could you tell the name of Shri Dhruv dasji's guru? So his guru's name is Shri Gopinath Goswami. He was the third son of Shri Harivansh. Okay. So now we start the Vani of Shringar Sabha Mandal. First of all, I'm just going to give a little overview of this Vani itself, just like different parts of it, and then we can go through verse by verse discuss this now. Okay, so first of all, in Shri Dhruv dasji's Vani, this Shringar Sabha Mandal, he, as always, takes shelter of Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhu. He does this in every time he wants to be able to do Varnan description of the Nitya Vihar, he always takes shelter. And then he always describes the beauty of Vrindavan Dham. So he's always setting the scene. Before he describes the Leela, he wants to describe what is this Sri Vrindavan Dham, both in Tattva, what is its nature, what is the reality, what is the Tattva behind it, what is the philosophical understanding as well, he mentions briefly. But then he also mentions the beauty of Sri Vrindavan Dham, the different participants, such as the Sakhis, the Yamunaji, the trees, the plants, the animals, the birds, because all of these are in the theology of Radha Vallabh Sampradaya, in the Siddhant, all of these are actually a manifestation of Prem, and they are active participants in the Leela. So without Vrindavan Dham, there is also no Leela. So all of these, it's like we call Prem Chatushtay, which means there's Prem manifesting in 4 forms. So Prem is manifesting as Shama Sham, as Vrindavan, and also the Sahajari. So Shama, Sham, Shama, Sham, Vrindavan, and the Sahajari. So this Prem is manifesting in 4 forms like this. And this is why also the name of Shri Harivansh as well, we also give as this Ha Hari, Ra Radha, Va Vrindavan, and Sa Sahajari. So even when we're saying the name Harivansh or Shri Harivansh, it's not that we're necessarily always referring to his form as the Acharya, but also this whole manifestation of Prem of the Nitya Vihar. So there's many different understandings, and Sri Sevakji Maharaj has explained all these as well. So in this Vani, he first describes the beauty of Shri Vrindavan Dham. Then he describes how the kunjas are laid out. It's laid out in a circle. And then he also describes the Sakhis. And actually, it's very beautiful here. But he actually, instead of doing Hari Nam Kirtan or Radha Nam Kirtan, he actually does Sakhi Nam Kirtan. So he sings the names of, I haven't counted exactly now, but I'm sure there's almost more than 100 Sakhis names that he sings in sequence. And there's a very nice recording from my Gurudev's ashram, from the Satsangh, Hitkeli Kunj, where just this part is on the YouTube channel, where it's just the Sakhi Nam Kirtan from this particular Vani Shringar Sabha Mandal. So I can share that later on, so you can hear the names of the blessed Sakhis. And there's also nice pictures used as well. So he does Sakhi Nam Kirtan here as well, which is very important to do, because just as Priya Lal, Shama Sham's names are purifying and inspire us within the heart, equally or even more importantly so for us, it's important that we take shelter of the Sakhis, because so many times the Rasiks have said that without the Sakhis, without taking shelter of the Sakhis, either the Sakhis in the actual Sahajari Vapu, in their Sahajari form, but also in those Acharyas, those Rasiks who are present in this world, but their identity, their sense of ego is in the divine body of the Sahajari, where we take shelter of both of those, and then also this will come in the heart as well. So as you might know the song from Shri Dhruv dasji's Padyavali, Sakhiya Balihari Hone Ja, Sakhiyan Ki Balihari Hone Ja, Sakhiyan Ki Balihari. So it's a very nice pad of Shri Dhruv dasji Maharaj from his Padyavali, which is separate to his Bialis Leela, but it's included in the printed versions, in modern versions, and he's taking shelter of all the Sakhis, and he describes their subhav, that they have this Radhacharan Pradanta, this mood of having Shri Radha Kishori's lotus feet as prominent within their heart, and they know the heart of Kishori ji, of Radha, and they always anxious and enthusiastic to perform her seva. So he does this Sakhi Nam Kirtan. Then, after he does the Sakhi Nam Kirtan, then he actually describes Priya Pritam, the two divine beloveds. He describes them casually going from different nikunjas to different from kunja to kunj to nikunj. They're just doing Brahman, they're wandering around, they're roaming around, and then in every kunj, he's describing a little bit what's happening in that kunj now, what utsav, what madhuri, what amrit varsha, what rain shower of prem and amrit of nectar is taking place in those kunjas. So he describes how in one kunj, the varsha ritu is going on, the rainy season, and then another kunj, it's made only of kamal, of lotuses, and one Sakhi called Kamalavati Sakhi is in there, and she's the one who's made this Kamal Kunj, and she's performing seva in there. And then next, Priyalal go to the Shringar Kunj, where they get dressed and adorned. And then one of my favorite ones is where Priyaji goes into Man Kunj, where she gets a little bit angry with Lalji. Not too much, because in Nitya Vihar, man, or annoyance in love, or anger in love, is very, very specific. It's very special, actually. And when we get to that part in this Vani, probably next meeting or the meeting after, then the whole discussion will just be on what is the type of man in the Nitya Vihara of Radha Vallabhis, and what are the different types of separation and also union. So we can really have a good discussion on this point. Then after this, after the Man Kunj, then they go into the Rang Kunj. So the Kunj of many colors, of the colors of Prem. So they go into Rang Kunj. And in this Rang Kunj, then there is a great ceremony of Vyahula. So this is the wedding or the marriage ceremony. So many of us, I'm sure we've been to Radha Vallabhji when Radha Vallabhji is dressed up all so nicely in the wedding clothes, in the wedding attire, and they actually sing the main. There's 4 songs which are mainly sung in the wedding ceremony of Radha Vallabhji. So they sing Khelat Ras Dulahini Dulahu, Khelat Ras Dulahini Dulahu. It's actually one of my absolute favorite songs from Hichurasi, and is my number one Ras Leela Pad. Is my number one Ras Leela song for sure, and it's one of my favorite from Hichurasi. So they always start with this, and then they sing 2 songs, quite long pads of Dhruv dasji Maharaj, describing how Shama Sham's wedding ceremony is going on. And then after this, then what's the song they sing, Priyanshu? Ashish ko pad, the blessing song.
I'm not able to recall it right now.
Nadi ju tharo abhi chal raho ji.
Abhi chal raho ji suhag. Oh pyari ju tharo abhi chal raho ji suhag. And also when they sing Sakhiyan ki or aisi aayi, exceptional. Sakhiya. Especially when Krishna Mohini Baba sings it in that way,
he's so good
with all that mridang going in the background.
So yeah, he's so good at that. I have recordings of that.
Anand mod sabke maharang subodh sabke maharang.
Prem
Rang rangi और कछु न सुहाय
सुहाय
तिनको,
तिनको
और
और
कछु
कछु
न
न
सुहाय
सुहाय तिनको
तिनको, युगल
युगल
सेवा सुख
सुख
पगी.
पगी. Yes, these are really like juicy, full of rust songs. And one of my didis who lives in Shivandavandam actually used to stay at her house in the beginning all the time. And I think also with Shamali, other people have said to you as well that Radha Vallabh's always getting married. He's always excited to get married. Most people just get married once and that's it. But Radha Vallabh's like always getting married. Like when I used to live with her, her name is Shama Didi. She has this ashram called Golok Dham Ashram, which is near ISKCON Goshala. And whenever I used to go to Radha Vallabh and come back, she's like, "Oh, how was it today? How was Radha Vallabh?" I said, "Oh, today was Vyahala. Today was the wedding ceremony." And she was like, "Bhaiya, brother, like, how is it that Radha Vallabh's always getting married?" He's like, they're so excited to get married all the time. So it's like an utsav, it's like a celebration which always takes place. And for me, it's like, it's just a celebration of their prem, and it increases the newness, the navinta. And it's one of my favorite.
Plus सखियन की हुर ऐसी आई.
Yeah.
Always सखीज telling them, चलो चलो ना आओ तुम्हारा ब्याह करते हैं, आ जाओ ना, आज मन कर रहा है, let's get you both married today.
Yeah. Because in the line, you're right, it says in the beginning that this desire is coming in the heart of the Sakhis. Sakhiyan ke or aisi ai, vyavanoda reche sukhdai, that they want to make a wedding celebration. And then it says it's not just the Sakhi's desire, because the Sakhi's desire and Priya Lal's desire can never be two. It's one.
Separate.
It's one prem, one hit, So this is whatever is coming in their heart, it is automatically the desire of Priyalal as well. Because they are the Ichha Shakti, as Dhruv dasji Maharaj says in this Vani, that they are the Ichha Shakti, they are the desire potency. So whatever is coming in their heart, or whatever is coming in Priyalal's hearts, this is the same thing. So like this. And then after Radha Vallabh get married once again, then there is Vinod Kunj. This is where so much has parihas, so many jokes and laughter takes place. So they go into this Nikunj. And then Sharad Ritu, the autumn season, this takes place. And then after the Sharad Ritu, then Vasant, the spring season, this manifests. They're in this Kunj. And then they have Rajbhog, so the main meal of the day, the midday meal. And then there is Vishram, so the resting time, or the Shaya Vihar, so the pastimes in the evening. So now we can start reciting a little bit of Shri Dhruv dasji Maharaj's Vani. Just going to keep an eye on the time as well. So far it's been half an hour. Okay, so we can maybe discuss this for about 15 minutes, and then next time obviously we discuss more, but 15 minutes we discuss now also, and then we can have another maybe question and answer session. Okay. Jai Jai Shri Harivansh. So Shri Dhruv dasji Maharaj, he starts with Mangalacharan, the auspicious invocation. So it starts, Prathama Charan Harivanshaji Oradari Karo Vichar. Prathama Charan Shri Harivanshaji Uradari Karo Vichar. Jehi Pratap Ye Ras Kachu Kehat Buddhi Anusar. Jehi Pratap Ye Ras Kachu Kehat Buddhi Anusar. So he's taking shelter of the lotus feet, the divine lotus feet of Shri Hit Harivansh Mahaprabhuji, and he's saying, bring them into the heart. So not just do vichar here in the head, but orudari, in the heart. Because the idea is that one has to bring Vrindavan into the heart. And Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhu's very form is Vrindavan Ras. He is Prakat Prem. He is the manifest form of Prem itself. He has mainly 4 forms. This is his Acharya Vapu, his form as Harivansh Mahaprabhu himself, as the Acharya personality. Then there's him being the Vanshi, the flute, the Murli. And then also him being Hit Sajani, who is the number 1 Sakhi of the Nitya Vihar, the Antaranga Sakhi. And also then that he is considered to be Prem itself. So Prem in its highest manifestation. This is Shri Mahaprabhuji. So this is why he's inviting Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji within his heart. And then only will he be able to sing the ras of the Nitya Vihar. He says, Jehi pratap ye ras kachu, kehat buddhi anusar. That with the pratap, the power of these lotus feet of Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhu, then I will be able to say a little bit ras kachu, something of this ras. Then I can say according to my own intellect. So even there, it's not really that he's going to speak with his intellect, but actually this is an expression of his humility. And Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji in his Hitcharasi, he also says the same as well. He says, Prathama yathamati prano eriha Prathama yathamati prano Shri Vrindavanati ramya Shri Radhika Kripa Benu Shri Radhika Kripa Benu Sabke Manana Eri Sabke Manana Agamya. So Shri Mahaprabhuji is saying here also Pratham Yathamati Prano Shri Vrindavanati Ramya. That there's 2 actually meanings here I've seen in the Vanis. So Pratham Yathamati Prano Shri Vrindavanati Ramya. But I am going to give pranam, prano meaning here I'm going to give my respects to Vrindavan as best as I can, according to my ability. But other acharyas have also described it as I am going to describe Shri Vrindavan Dham according to my yathamati, according to my own ability. But he is expressing here his own humility. It's not that he has a very limited capacity to describe Vrindavan, because he's been in Vrindavan, Nitya Vrindavan, since Anadikal, since beginningless time, before there was no beginning of time. So he is very familiar with what is Vrindavan Dham, what is the bhavs, what is Priyalal's moods and love. So he's expressing. So similarly, Shri Dhruv dasji Maharaj is also paying respects like this. So then he starts describing Shri Vrindavan Dham itself. He says, Sarvopari Adabhuta Saras Shri Vrinda Vipina Vihara Sarvopari Adabhuta Saras Shri Vrinda Vipina Vihara Barno Jugal Kishore Ko Mandal Sabha Singar Varno Jugal Kishore Ko Mandal Sabha Singar. So here he's saying that this Vrinda Vipina Vihar, where this love, these love plays, these leelas, these pastimes of Shri Shama Sham, the Sakhis and Vrindavan itself, that this is Sarvopari. This is the highest. And it's Adbhut and it's Saras. So Adbhut meaning it is extremely extraordinary. It is beyond this Prakrit Maya. It is beyond this material level of existence. And it is Saras, meaning it is full of ras. And it is made of ras as well. So with us, in Radhavallabhi Upasana, Radhavallabh Sampradaya, we have a very special meaning to the word Rasopasana. So generally, Rasopasana, if you study the other Sampradayas, generally for them, Rasopasana means that they are worshipping with ras. So bhakti has become saras or ras bhakti. So it means that their mode of worship, their mode of bhakti is full of ras. We also have this meaning, but we have another meaning, and that is that we are not only worshipping with ras, but we are worshipping ras. So even ras itself we are worshipping. Because for us, even though Radhavallabh Sampradaya has very little interest in Vedant Sutras, Upanishads, and so on. You know that generally all the other Sampradayas, they have a commentary on the Brahma Sutras written by Badarayana Rishi, Vedvyas, describing the reality, philosophical reality, and it was his attempt to bring the different Upanishads together and explain what is the real philosophy. So with us, we don't have this, but nonetheless, there are some statements we make which are pertaining to what is our understanding of reality. And for us, the highest reality is ras itself. It's not Bhagwan, it's not just Priyaji by herself, nor is it Vrindavan by itself, but it's actually ras itself that is manifesting in these four forms. So that's why we have a special meaning to the name Rasopasana or Rasopasak. And this is coming from one statement of Taittiriya Upanishad, which it says Raso Vaisa. So it's saying, what is this absolute reality? And the answer that the Upanishads give, Raso Vaisa, which means that it is Ras itself. It doesn't say much more than this. So in the rest, it's talking about, Nirvishesh Brahman, what is the formless and qualityless absolute reality. So what is Brahman and so on. So, or Brahm, in English they pronounce like Brahman, but we also like Brahm. But basically, but it doesn't really describe much more. But this is where our Nitya Vihar Vanis, they say, well, okay, the Upanishads just said it's only ras, but they don't say anything more. Then now, Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhu's Kripa, Swami Haridas Ji's Kripa, Hari Vyas Devacharya's Kripa, we know what is this ras, where it has a form, Murt Roop, where it is actually playing in Vrindavan Dham. It's not just without any life or without any movement and play. So he's paying respects like this. Then he says, Varno Jogala Kishora ko Mandala Sabha Singara. Varno Jogala Kishora ko Mandala Sabha Singara. That I am going to now describe these Prem love plays of Yugal Kishore. And here it's also important to very much clarify that for Radhavallabhis, if you look at Shri Radha Sudhanidhi, Hicharasi, etc., so many different Vanis, that it's only upasana, it's only worship of the Kishore forms. So when Priyalal are they're displaying the forms and the bhavs of 16-year-old youths. So when they're in this sweet adolescence, we're not worshipping Laddu Gopal, as cute as he may be. We're not worshipping Laddu Gopal or any other different ages of Krishna. There's different Bal Leela, Poganda Leela when he's a child, stealing Makhan and stealing the butter. These are very sweet, but Shri Sevakji Maharaj makes it very clear that this is not our Ishtadev. If you see, this is not actually Aishtadev. Aishtadev is the ones who are Kishore and Kishori. Bas. There's no more scope in the Vani. If for others who like the other bhavs, then this is not the sampradaya for that. Even though we give great respect to this, and we have love for those people who worship in this bhav, but it's just not the bhav that you will get through the flow, the dara of Shri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji. Before we go on to other verses, I want to discuss the topic of, here he says, Sarvopari Adbhut Saras, Shivrinda Vipina Vihar. So we need to understand this very, very, very clearly, because sadhaks must have that abhiman, that feeling that my ras is the best. At least for them, then this bhav is very important to have. So this is basically a topic which is discussed by many different sampradayas, because everyone always feels my bhav is the best, So it's actually very important to have this bhav within the inner circle. So let me bring up I made some points about this. Yeah. So this is this comes under the topic of something called ras taratamya. So ras taratamya, the word taratamya means hierarchy. And every different sampradaya, they have their views on what is higher and for what reason, different reasonings. And we give respects to all of them, their own reasonings, but we have our own reasonings as well. So one of the reasons which, as aspiring Radha Dasis, as Sahacharis, what we have for our ras being, the supreme ras, the Sarvopari ras, is that in ours we don't have the ichha, the desire to meet with Shilalji directly, with Krishna directly. Even though there's so many wonderful granthas, different vanis from other sampradayas, and obviously the Bhagavad and Purans and so on, and different Agama scriptures and so on, they're discussing how Gopi Bhav is, Gopi Bhav, I believe Dhruv dasji or Nand Das of the Pushti Marg Sampradaya, he says, Gopi Bhav, Prem ki dwaja, but it's like the flag of Prem, which is displayed very high, and like waving the victory flag of Prem, Gopi Bhav, Prem ki dwaja. But in the Vani of the Radha Vallavis and Rasik Mahatas, they all show that even above this, there is more, and our beloved Priyansji will know this to be true as well, because in this Sakhiyan ke ure aisi aayi, there's a line also there where it says how this bhav of the Sahacharis is even durlabh, difficult for Gopa Gopinu Adi Durlabh, Gopa Gopinu Adi Durlabh. This is it.
I don't know.
And then but he's saying that this prem, which is Ati Durlabh, which is inattainable for even the Gopas, the cowherds, and the cowherdesses, the gopis, but this is not actually available to them. But at every moment, the Sahacharis are tasting this at every moment. But they're tasting this every time. So this is one of the main things. And the other thing is that Radhacharan Pradanta, the predominance of Kishoriji's lotus feet, they're not just in the heart of the Sakhis, but also Vrindavan itself, the birds, the plants, they also have this mood that Hamare Mai.
Shama Jukuraj.
Very good. This is Gurudev's training. That's like Gurudev's slogan, huh? Hamare Mai Shama Jukuraj. So, if you look at in the bhav of other sampradayas, it's important to make comparison, not to make others lower, but to understand the differences. Some, like for example, in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, you have the Manjaris. They also have Radhacharan Pradanta. This is something that I've noticed because I also come from a Gaudiya Vaishnava background. My first Gurudev is Srila Bhakti Narayan Maharaj. So, and I also got the association of many other Rasik Mahatmas, such as Shri Anantadas Babaji of Radhakund. And so it was actually through them which I first got the interest, especially in Anantadas Babaji, where this bhav of being Radha Dasi, this first sprouted, this Ankurit first became sprouted. So I owe them a lot, you know. But in the bhav of the Manjaris, they have this Radhacharan Pradanta, but not everyone in the Leela has this bhav. Some of them have more prem for Krishna Snehadik, Sakhis, and then you have some who have an equal love for both Shama Sham. This is the some Sneha Sakhis. And then obviously you have the different Leela participants, the associates, the Parshad, the Parikar, of different bhavs. So in ours, however, everyone is colored in Radha Dasi Prem. So that's a very important difference. There is also other points as well. I'm sure you've also heard about there is the conception of Swasuk and Tatsuk. So Swasuk is that there is some taste or complete taste only to get something from Krishna or from Radha, to get happiness, to get anand, to get bliss, to receive this. And Tatsuk is the opposite. Tatsuk is to give bliss, and obviously as a byproduct, because any contact with Shama Sham is going to give bliss anyways. So they get bliss, they get ananda, they get rasanubhuti, the experience of ras, from making contact with Priyalal through their seva. But it's not that the mind is thinking, oh, I will do this and I will get happiness, I will get bliss from doing seva. You know, so when they become in this paripakwa avastha, when also we will become by grace of Gurudev and Vrindavan, Shri Harivansh Maharprabhuji. I see Priyansji very much smiling there for the grace. So we will also have this bhav. You know, at least for me right now, I sometimes when I'm singing the Vani and I'm reciting the Vani, I'm also thinking, oh, I need to taste some bliss now. I need to I was, everything else is like, there's some nice things, obviously in the world, I still have this conception obviously to enjoy things in this world, but then when I want to really enjoy, then I like to open up the Vani and think, okay, now I feel some satisfaction. But there will also be a time where when we become fully ripe in prem, when even that we won't be thinking, oh, I will do seva so I can feel some bliss. Because this prem, I was actually listening to Hitam Barishji today, and Hitam Barishji was explaining the meaning of ekant bhakti. And he gave a very nice one special definition. He said, ekant bhakti, one-pointed bhakti as it normally is translated, he said it also means ek ka ant. He means the ending of even one. So ek means one, ant means destruction or finish, completion. So that even at that stage, there's no feeling of, even though the Sahajiri is there and Shama there, they're there is still Bed, but still the feeling is of a Bed, that this Prem makes, Prem ka gun, the quality of Prem, it makes everything into one by feeling. Not by actual tattva, so it's not that we're completely one with Priyalal, but the feeling of oneness is there. So then whatever their desire is, we're automatically in tune with this, not looking for our own bliss, even in the Vani, like this. Then the other points are that in the Ras Shastra, they mention 3 types of prem. There's another way to categorize prem. So, or maybe not always prem, but just the feeling of intense love. So one of them is Sadharan Rati. Sadharan Rati is basically like only wanting pleasure themselves. This is ordinary or you can use the word like ordinary love. And they give the example in the Shastras that Kubja in the Bhagavatam. So this is the lady who was like disfigured and also disabled. She had some bodily issues, very much like Kubja, like a hunchback type. So Kubja, she has this type of feeling towards Krishna that she wants to meet with Krishna, but only for her own pleasure. So this is called Sadharan Rati. Then the Rasikacharyas have explained that there is something higher than this, and this is called Samanjas Rati. So Samanjas Rati basically means where you want to give some pleasure to Krishna, or rather than Krishna, but in this context it is always Krishna. So you want to give some pleasure to Krishna, but you also want you want something back in exchange. So there is the give and take mentality that if I give you some sukh, some happiness, then you make sure you better give me some back as well. So like this is like a business deal. Then there is Samartharati. So Samartharati is that it is completely capable. So Samarth in itself in Hindi, Sanskrit means capable or complete, like more capable. So Samartharati is basically where one does not desire anything for themselves, but as a byproduct this will come, and one just wants to give love to the beloved and give pleasure and happiness. There is also, is everyone okay for time?
Yeah.
Priyansh, you okay? You said no.
As in, the Indian nod.
Oh, the Indian nod. Oh, okay. It's okay. Then fine. Everyone else, Amanda, Vinay, you good? Yeah, okay. We'll just finish this explanation, then we can have a Q&A. So the other thing is that bhakti itself and ras itself can be divided into Aishwarya Bhav and Madhurya Bhav. And also Mishrit, also mixed. So there are some leelas which are mixture of Aishwarya, opulence, the majesty, the godhood, the Bhagavata of Bhagwan. And then there is the Madhurya, which is more like human-like pastimes, like very sahaj, very sweet, full of sweetness, Madhurya. And then there are some leelas which are a little bit mixed. So Shri Sevakji Maharaj says that here in Nitya Vihar, you don't find any Miloni na mile kashu, but you don't find any mix in the Nitya Vihar, but it's only pure sweetness. Because in the Aishwarya Bhavs, the Aishwarya Bhav is where it can be looked at from two perspectives. From the perspective of Bhagwan and also the Bhaktas. So when we look from the perspective of Bhagwan, it's where Bhagwan himself manifests so much power and opulence. And he knows, I am Bhagwan, and this is my sevak, this is my servant, this is my devotee. And on the opposite side, it's the same feeling that, oh, this is Bhagwan, and therefore I need to have certain etiquette, certain relationship with Bhagwan. Because imagine if you're meeting someone very powerful, like a president, you have a certain way you would deal with them. And I mean, this is the president of the president of the president, the prime minister of the prime minister, it's the king. So this mood with Vishnu Bhagwan, this is generally characterized by Aishwarya, whether it is great opulence in his behavior, but also great reverence in the mood of the bhakta. And this means that when this takes place, that there is a lack of closeness, because this Aishwarya is there, then it's very difficult to become close to Bhagwan, and also for Bhagwan to become close to the bhakta as well. This prem is a two-way street, so it's actually very difficult for both to have a very intimate relationship in this way. Um, when it comes to Madhurya Bhav, so Madhurya Bhav generally they describe that this is like um, it's a very much a sweetness where Bhagwan forgets his godhood, forgets his own Bhagavata. He forgets, I am Bhagwan, this is my servant, and that the devotee also thinks, no, this is just my Nijajan, or this is just my own, like my own family, my own lover, my own premi, or this is my, or in the case of the Sehachari, she just thinks that, oh, this is the beloved of my Swamini, of Shri Radha, who is my master. So there is this bhav, and this is more sweeter because it's characterized by what we call nar lila or naratva lila, which meaning that the pastimes are more like human-like pastimes. So if you compare in Vaikuntha, for example, you see that everyone's flying around in divine flying cars, like divine vehicles, Viman, and everyone has like superhuman forms. They have the form of 4 arms. I don't know why I was doing this, like I'm gonna show 4 arms. So they have this mood of having 4 arms. And also there is some where they can, if you read some texts like Sanatana Goswami's Brihad Bhagavatamrit, he also describes how the Vaikuntha Vasis, the residents of Vaikuntha, they're also changing form. They become something else, So these things, these supernatural manifestations are not overtly or openly manifested in the Nitya Vihar, because there is this predominance of this Nar Lila. So you'll see how, for example, very, very sweet Leelas where if you see in Vaikuntha, Bhagwan Vishnu will not get tired. He's got always some energy, always full power. But if you see in the Vanis of Hicharasi and so on, when Priyalal, such as there's one pad, Biharat do Pritam Kunja, Biharat do Pritam Kunja. In this pad, Shri Harivansh is saying, my 2 beloveds, my 2 do Pritam, not just one Pritam like in other bhavs, but Krishna, my Pritam, my beloved. He's saying my Pritams, my 2 beloveds, they are doing Bihar in the Kunj. They are performing their Leelas in the Kunj. So he describes in there how there's some exhaustion, that Shama Sham become tired as well. And also in other Leelas where Kishori ji becomes tired, and then Sham Sundar says, Viram Viram Natha Varata, Bara Biharadi. He's saying, Lalji is saying, Priya ji, rest now. It's okay, you rest now, and then he starts fanning her with the Pidambar. Sakhi's also fanning and other Leelas. So this type of darshan, this type of sweet pastime, you do not see in Vaikuntha, because Bhagwan, he's in his full majesty. So he's not becoming tired. He's not becoming hungry. He's not becoming moody. These different bhavs, these are not really present in the Vaikuntha Leelas. So this is another great difference as well. And in the hearts of the devotees, due to a lack of Aishwarya, because when we look at Aishwarya Bhav, this which is generally seen in Dasya Bhav, this Bhav of servitude or servanthood, they actually have another important characteristic, and this is Hridkamp. Hridkamp means that the heart starts trembling. And one of the most important, one of the best examples of this is in Bhagavad Gita itself. So if you see in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, generally if you look out throughout the whole Mahabharata, the mood of the type of prem sambandh, the relationship that Shri Krishna and Arjun have, is one of friendship, and they're very friendly together, joking together, eating together, and so on. But when Arjun says to Krishna, because Krishna is describing all his majesty, I am this, I am that, and so on. And then Arjun says, I want to take darshan of your Virat Roop, of your universal form. And then Krishna gives him divine vision, the divine eyes. And then when he sees, he becomes very frightened. He becomes very scared. He says, oh, Keshav, please, you remove this from me and you go back to your original form, which I have always spent so much time with. And this is a manifestation of Hridkamp. His heart starts to tremble when he sees this Aishwarya of Bhagwan. And so this is like a classical example that those who have this Aishwarya Bhav, or a tinge of it, or any measure of this, but they feel this type of feeling within the heart. So it actually reduces the level of closeness one can have. And one commentator, very amusingly, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he was one great Gaudiya Sampradayacharya, I think around 350 years ago. I really like one of his comments he makes in this, which goes against most of the other commentators of Bhagavad Gita. So most say that Arjun gained divine vision, a higher vision of Bhagwan. He says, no. He received inferior vision. He got inferior eyes. He didn't get Divya Chakshu, divine eyes. He actually got inferior eyes. Why? Because before he was experiencing the Madhuri, the sweetness of Bhagwan, and then now he's seeing this Aishwarya Bhav, this Virat Roop manifesting, and now his mood has become less. The ras has gone down. So actually, he got inferior eyes. So this is I always remember that this from his Sarartha Varshini or Darshini, I forget the name of the Tika, of the commentary. And there was one other point I was going to mention, and this is based on because the whole point we're talking about is why is the ras of the Nitya Vihar for us, why is it Sarvapari, why is it the highest? And one of the other considerations is on the consideration of the different type of muktis, the different types of liberation. So when we look at the different types of liberation, there are, if you look at the Srimad Bhagavatam and other works, there's different types of liberation. And you can divide them into two. One is the impersonal liberation, where it's not with Bhagwan's roop, not with Bhagwan's beautiful form, but with the formless aspect, the Brahman, the Brahm Jyoti. So this is called Brahma Sayujya. This is what the Shankaracharya, his Sampradaya, the Advait Sampradaya, this is what they aspire to, that Mehi Mehu, that only I exist and I am existing everywhere. I have no color, I have no volition, no will, no desire, no nothing, basically, just consciousness itself. So this is one type of mukti. And in the commentaries of the Bhagavatam, they also describe another type of liberation, which is still in that category, where the jiva doesn't merge into the formless aspect of Bhagwan, without form and without color, without taste and so on, but also merges into Krishna Bhagwan's form itself. So this is also another one. But for us, for Vaishnavas, both of these types of mukti, if anyone remembers Shri Radha Sudanadi, what does Mahaprabhuji say this type of mukti is? Does anyone know?
It's basically the mukti is just even begging on the doors in Vrindavan.
Yeah.
Just please accept me.
Yeah,
Things like that.
Yeah, this is one bhav as well. That mukti, for those who want mukti, is so easily available in Vrindavan, and no one wants the mukti. She's knocking on the doors to give this type of mukti, but everyone's too busy doing their own bhajan, so we don't have time for mukti even. But the other thing he actually says is that this type of mukti is like narak. This is like hell. And it's actually worse than for Vaishnavas. Both Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Radhavallavis, and every other Vaishnav that I've come across, for the most part, there may be a few different sampradayas in the south which still accept this type, such as Madhavacharya Sampradaya. We see it as worse than hell because in the hellish planets, which are temporary in the Vedanta and in Vedic Dharma, Vedic religion, that you go to these hellish planets or hellish existences for a temporary amount of time, and then you get the chance. It's just like a prison house where you go there to be reformed, and then once you've reformed a little bit, then you're given your freedom again, and then you get a chance, because our Bhagwan is very merciful. There's no limit to the kripa and the daya that Bhagwan has. There's nothing you can do where he will not give you a chance to attain liberation, to attain prem. So even if it takes millions and millions and billions of lifetimes, still the jiva has opportunity. So these are the types of mukti that we don't accept. But then there are other types of mukti as well. The other types of mukti are personal types of mukti. So one of them is shasti, which is basically where you get the powers of Bhagwan. So you get some shaktis, some powers that even Bhagwan has, and you attain these powers as well. Apart from being able to create the universe, because then you would have too many universes, and this would be very confusing. So these are some powers you get from Bhagwan, different to the siddhis. So we're not talking about siddhis here, which yogis get. We're talking about powers that you get which are eternally with you, and you have while you're residing in Vaikuntha. Then there is Salokya. Salokya means you are living with Bhagwan in the same level of existence, so in the same lok. Then you also have Sarupya, which means you attain a form which is similar to Bhagwan. So you may attain a similar form like a Vaikuntha Vasi, a resident of Vaikuntha. And then there's also Shastri, Salokya, Sarupya, and Samipya. Sorry? Samipya, yes. So for us, Samipya Mukti is the most important, is the most special. Because Samipya means being close, being near. So this type of mukti is the highest type of liberation, and this is because especially if we look at it through the lens of Nitya Vihar, Nibid Nukunj, that the Sahacharis are the closest. So even when Priya Lal are together in their most private places, their most private leelas, the Sahacharis can also be present. They can look, and they can do some type of service like this. So for us, this type of samipya, this ati samipya, this extreme closeness, this is seen as the most important type of mukti, which is what we're aspiring for and what we hope we will attain one day. So this is some of the reasons why Shri Dhruv dasji Maharaj says, this is sarvapari adbhut saras Shri Vrinda Vipina Vihar. And these things are very important to understand, but we should also make sure that when there is someone of a different bhav, of a different sampradaya, we should not speak like this when they are present. Because this is like Gurudev Maharaj, Shri Premananji Maharaj, and many other Rasiks, they say that when we're in our own family, in our own group, it's very appropriate and it's beneficial to speak like this, that our ras is the best. But actually, when we go to another group or we speak to another Vaishnava of a different bhav, we should never speak like this, because this is like an act of violence through words, because then we are harming their level of their type of devotion. So we need to be encouraging them in their own bhav and not actually harming their devotion. And also it's because if you look at different perspectives, there's always something special, something unique in every single bhav that another bhav does not have. Shamali also was telling me when you spoke to one friend of ours, Krishna Kinkari, she's from England, and she's initiated in the Pushti Marg of Sri Vallabhacharya Mahaprabhu. And one time I remember you told me that she said that in Vatsalya it's so sweet because you always get to hold Krishna in your arms all day long, and he cannot go anywhere because he does not have any independence. So it's you always have Krishna in the arms. So I thought that was a very sweet bhav, even though it's not my bhav, but I can appreciate that. Wow, how special is this? And if you give that argument, then someone can say, no, Vatsalya is the highest because look, this bhav is there. So for me, even though I have my own taste and I follow what Dhruv dasji Maharaj Gurudev Bhagwan says, but I can still appreciate the mood of others and give due respect. So today we only got through 2 verses today. Next time we'll definitely go more flowing and more deeper and move more quickly into the verses. But this verse is very important to unpack due to its nature. So does anyone have any questions or any comments you want to make? Do you know that one?
I have a question. So I'm not sure if I missed the part you were talking about the different kind of sakis also in Gaudiya Sampradaya, and did you also mention the different kind of sakis in Radhavalavi Sampradaya?
No. I haven't mentioned that today, but there are actually 4 types of. You can put them into 4 categories. The Sakhis of the Radha Vallavi Nitya Vihar. All of them have Radhacharan Pradanta. So they all have Radha Snehadik, meaning they have more love for Radha than they have for Krishna. This is definitely there in all the 4 types of Sakhis. But there are actually 4 types. So the first one is the Antaranga Sakhi, which is only Shri Harivansh, only Hit Sajani. No other Sakhi can be called the Antaranga Sakhi, the inner Sakhi. And there's some reasons why that is. In my new translation of a work of a Vani ji called Hitali Shringar, which is 52 verses describing Shri Harivansh's Sakhi Sarup. In the introduction, I have taken shelter of Hit Kishori Sharan Aliji Maharaj and other Rasiks, and described the 4 types of Sakhis. So I'll post that in the group today, so you can have a read. But there's 4 types of Sakhis: the Antaranga Sakhi, the 8 Sahacharis, the primary Asta Sakhis. Then there is the Anucharis, which we can become. We can aspire to become those. And then there's also the Kinkaris, which are in hierarchy and in disposition, sort of under guidance of the others. So there's 4 types, but we didn't discuss them today.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else had any questions?
But in general terminology, they all can be called as Sakhis and Dasis.
Yeah, all of them can still be called Dasis, Sakhis, Sahacharis, and even Kinkaris. But when we're using specific terminology, then it's something different. I also noticed this in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, for example. Like, if you look at Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's writings or Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he actually they have 5 types of Sakhis of Radha, and all of them can be called Sakhis, but they actually do have specific names. And in general discussion, generally when they use the word Sakhis, they mean those who are a little bit older, like Lalita, Vishaka and so on, and that sometimes they will meet with Krishna when Radha is making some pressure on them, like go and meet with him too, I know you want to meet, or these type of moods, or that for my sake, oh, you please meet with Krishna. Whereas the Manjaris, they don't have that feeling that they want to meet with Krishna at any cost. So generally in general conversations, they still use the different language, the terminology, Sakhi and Manjari. But if you look in the actual Vanis, the scriptures, the Shastra, they put them all into the category of Sakhis. So we can also do that.
Mm.
Vinay ji?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
So, like, I'm sorry. You, sorry again. So you mentioned that bad coffee.
No
So you
problem.
mentioned that in the Radha Vallabh Sampradaya, there is Radhacharan Pradhanta. But in the Vanijis, in the Bayalis Leela, when we read, we come across leelas where the yugal is always together
Yes.
in all the Vanis.
Yeah.
So uh, and even in hit Chaturasi. So all these leelas, they have descriptions of all yugal leelas, like the yugals are always together. So is there any specific evidence or except from Radha Sudanidhi where this Radhacharan Pradhanta comes very evident of the Radha Vallabh Sampradaya?
Yeah. So first of all, just to make an important point here, Shama Sham, Yugal Sarkar being together does not negate Radhacharan Pradhanta, because the Radhacharan Pradhanta should be understood as follows. It's that the Sakhis, and mainly we'll talk from the perspective of the Sakhis, that's the most important for us, that the Sakhis have more love for Kishoriji than they have for Lalji. And if you look at Ladli Das Ji's Sudharma Bodhani, it's one Granth, Sudharma Bodhani. He's also Radha Vallabhi, Rasik Mahatma. He also explains in there that our relationship with Lalji, with Krishna, is because he is Radha's beloved, otherwise not. So the fact that Priya Lala was together, this is just an important part of what is the definition of Nitya Vihar. But Radhacharan Pradhanta is the feeling in the hearts of the Sakhis that they have this strong flowing relationship and prem for Radha. Does not mean that there will be like ekantik seva of Radha alone, although that does take place as well. But some of the pramans actually, if you look from Sri Harivansh's writings himself, it's actually everywhere. So, for example, in the I'm just trying to remember what song that is. I think it's De Katanava Nikunja Suni Sajani, where he says in the end that Krishna Rasamrita Sara. When I'm describing the ras of Krishna, why am I describing the ras of Krishna as well? He says Shravanana Sunata. I forget the words now, but he's saying that this is it. Yeah. That's it, exactly that. By listening to these leelas, that one will get love for the lotus feet of Shri Radha. And then if you look at Svatvani, he also mentions that may my ears burst if I do not hear the yash, the glories of Radha. May my tongue be cut if I don't sing the glories of Radha. And may my eyes burst if I don't see Radha Sarup. So this is in his Brajvasha work, Svatvani. But also, if you look at his letters, he wrote 2 letters.
Okay.
Well, obviously he wrote more, but we have 2 which are still with us, still preserved, to Vital Das and Naharmal, to his disciples. And in there as well, he makes it very clear. He says he's always actually glorifying Kishoriji with terms like Rishabhanu Nandini Jayati, Shamaju ki Kripa, due to Shamaji's Kripa, and so on. And he's also saying Tihare Stape Guru Marg Avishwas Hot. He's saying that this Guru Marg has been established by Shri Radha herself. So that's one of the pramans early on, but even in Shri Harivansh's writing, that Radha is Pradhan. Oh, I think Amanda's coming back. So yeah, Radha Kishori ji is prominent in his bhav, and that also she was his mantra upadeshta guru, or his diksha guru, the mantra guru. So these things are there also separate to Shri Radha Sudanidhi. And also if you look at the writings of his immediate disciples, Nehi Nagri Das ji, Sevak ji Maharaj, also in the first Prakaran, chapter 1, he says the dharma of Sri Harivansh is Radhacharan Juganivas, that his bhajan, his mood is that residence at the 2 lotus feet of Shri Radhaji, and many other places also later on. So this is some of the praman, some of the evidence.
Okay. Thank you.
Shamali, you want to ask something? Kalyani Didi, everything good?
All good, yeah.
Okay.
Very beautifully explained everything.
Yeah, sorry if I was a little bit nervous because I'm not used to speaking in front of anyone. So, yes, if it's anything was not so flowing or like this,
No,
so
would it be better if I would have turned my camera off? I thought to keep it on because you would feel better to, interact. That's why I left it on. Otherwise, I could have turned it off as well.
No,
If that,
it's good. No, it's good. I'm glad you kept it on because it's like I'm actually then speaking to a person.
talking with
So
somebody,
it's good.
yeah.
Yes. TK, so thanks all for coming. I hope it was very nice, and
When are we going to have the next session like this?
I'll let you guys know. I'll message everyone. I
Yeah.
gotta see when. Probably next Sunday is still fine, I think. But I will confirm.
I'm already excited for that.
Very good.
3 p.m. is okay.
It's still okay. 3 a.m. or 3 p.m.
Yeah, 3 a.m. Sorry.
Okay.
Same break.
We'll try to
Break
make a better time if possible, because I know all of us live in different countries, so we may sometimes make it more favorable for some people and then less for others, and then change over a little bit. But these will always be recorded, so we can always check them later.
And you are going to share that in the group, the recordings?
Yes, yeah. Once it's all like a little bit edited, then I can do that. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Okay. TK, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Jai Jai Shri
Share
Harivansh.
one, share
Thank you
one,
so much for
share
coming.
Even
Shri
to
Harivansh.
everyone.
Yes.
Pranam.
share one, share one.
See you again.